Welcome to another episode of the Retired Rookies podcast, where we sit down with former high-level athletes who have successfully transitioned into their secondary careers. Today, we have a guest on who I'm really, really excited to speak with, Amanda Guralski. Amanda was a volleyball player at the University of Villanova, St. Thomas, the University of St. Thomas, and now a founder and CEO of Game Plan Strategies. And I'll let you go in, kind of what you guys do here a little bit here later. But super excited to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
Thomas, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to jump right into it. Mentioned that you were a volleyball player in college. What was it? What was that experience like? Kind of walk us through the emotions of when you finally knew it was over, and you weren't going to play professionally, and your last college game or whatever. What were some of the emotions that you were feeling?
Surprisingly, it kind of hit me earlier, I think, than most athletes.
Oh, okay.
Like all of us, the very first time we picked up a basketball, football, a volleyball, a baseball, whatever our sport was, we
Hmm.
immediately fell in love, right?
Yeah,
It was like, this is me. This
yeah,
volleyball is an extension of who I am. And
yeah.
from the minute I touched a volleyball, that became who I was. I
Hmm.
was a volleyball player.
Hmm.
And that was my identity through and through. I sacrificed so much to get where I was. I had dreams of getting a Division 1 scholarship, and everything that I did was to align with that purpose.
Hmm.
And because we are so goal oriented and we are so passionate and we are either all or nothing kind of people, right? You either
Hmm.
give 110% or you're totally disinterested. And that was me. And when I got out to Villanova, I thought I was going to have this euphoric happiness, right? Like I had made it, like my dream has come true. And you almost kind of feel numb, right? Like I got out to Villanova and I was like, wait, this is it?
Yeah.
I have had this dream for so long, and everything that I did was to get me to this point. And then you feel very let down. And I think
Mm.
the reason why I was experiencing that then is because I didn't have anything beyond that goal.
Hmm.
And our brains are wired to constantly be chasing something and to feel like we have a purpose. And when you get to that finish line, which I did, which I thought was getting out to Villanova, I realized how empty it really felt and how empty I felt. And as I was experiencing that, I was also kind of going through that identity shift
Hmm.
where you're like, okay, Amanda, you're not going to play professional. You have 4 years to figure it out, and you truly have no idea who you are outside of being an athlete. I was rewarded for being a competitor and a performer, and that was it. And those two labels, if you will, always felt like a disconnect to me. Like I'm competitive because I'm an athlete, but I'm not like a true competitor where I hate losing more than I like winning. Right?
Oh,
There's
yeah,
other
yeah.
sides to me that I knew, but you never get rewarded for that.
Hmm.
And so you kind of brush those identities under the table and you're like, ah, that's not really me. And you question how you're thinking and why you're thinking in the way that you are.
Yep.
And I then made the decision to transfer from D1 to D3, which for many athletes is somewhat of a failure, right? You're like,
Hmm.
I got a Division 1 scholarship. It's what I've known, it's what I've wanted. And now I'm going to transfer to D3. But for me, it was a really great gift that I gave
Mm.
myself because
Mm.
I was able to still be competitive in sports. I played volleyball at St. Thomas and I threw the javelin, but I was able to figure out who I was, which is really what college is about, right?
Yep.
You're supposed to figure out who you are
Yep.
and where your interests lie and what you can get passionate about and really where you see yourself for the next 40 years. And
Mhm.
so transferring really gave me that opportunity to not only be an elite athlete like I was, but to also have friends that weren't athletes. You know, we
Mhm.
surround ourselves with such like-minded people that everyone's the same.
Mhm.
So that's a little bit about my journey and kind of how I started thinking about things. And then from there, it was a wild ride.
Yeah. No, and you said some really good things there. College, that was kind of your goal, and then once you got there, you kind of were down. I experienced that when I became pro, and so I can relate to that in a lot of ways. It just was like you get to pull the curtain back, and you're like, this is it. Like this is what I've been, striving for this whole time. So no, I can really resonate with that. And then also, it sounds like you were um, you were more prepared. I don't know if that's the right word, but it sounds like you kind of went into college with the understanding that you weren't going to want to go pro. Is that fair?
Well, I don't want to date myself, but I mean, there was no professional volleyball league at
Okay.
that time. So, yes, like I knew that the athletic journey for me was going to be over. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, now women's sports has obviously grown, and that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And I wish I was playing in college now, although the girls seem way better and
Yeah.
more talented than I was.
I'm sure you would have
But
adjusted. I'm sure you would have adjusted.
my parents swear I looked the same way playing. I don't know if I believe them, but
Yeah.
they swear I played the same way that the girls are today.
Yeah.
So I knew, yes, I did know. I did
Okay.
know that it was over, and I had to figure out
Uh-huh.
how I take that passion, that drive, that discipline,
Hmm.
and transfer that into something that is going to fuel me the same way that sports did for the
Yeah.
next 40 years.
And now it sounds like the transfer from Villanova to St. Thomas was a strategic one on your behalf, just to kind of get a better understanding of who you were as a person. Did you feel like you weren't able to do that at the D1 level? Was it like just too much? Because we all know that it's like a full time job being an athlete and academics and stuff like that. So can you just kind of speak to that?
You know, looking back and reflecting,
Hmm.
yes, I can see that. But at the time, I had no idea
Yeah.
why I was feeling that way. You know, I couldn't articulate it the way that
Mhm.
I'm articulating it now
Yeah.
because I have done so much work on who I am as a person. And I know that we'll get into it, but we're kind of talking about it now. But the company
Uh-huh.
that I founded Game Plan Strategies is all about figuring out the other identities that inherently who you are. So, yes, one of my strongest archetypes is being a visionary and kind of being strategic and seeing like the long plays and
Mhm.
what that looks like. So, yes, now I can look back and say, oh, that's my visionary archetype coming into play saying, okay, this isn't serving me in the ways that I need it to set me up for success because I'm seeing a lot of gaps. But at the time, I couldn't articulate it like that, but now I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what were some of the things that you did once you got to St. Thomas? What were some of the things that you did to try to kind of start, finding out who you were and kind of preparing for life after sports?
Yeah. So obviously, one of my main goals was to get friends that weren't athletes, right?
Yeah.
Because we're all wired the same. We're all competitors, we're performers. You know, we're a different breed and everybody knows that. And so I really wanted to challenge myself to start hearing different perspectives and not being around people that were so competitive
Uh-huh.
and, saw themselves in one lens. So that was something that like I really wanted to do was to get friends that weren't necessarily at the same level as what
Yeah.
I was and playing that. And then it was really just being able to take different classes. And yes, St. Thomas, we were incredibly competitive in sports. And now St. Thomas is actually D1. So they were
Yeah,
one of
I
the
thought
first
so.
schools. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were one of the first schools to go from D3 to D1. And they are
Okay.
totally kicking butt
Yeah.
in the D1 leagues, and I'm so excited. But I was in the era of
Yeah.
St. Thomas being D3.
Yeah.
But it just And any athlete that has been a Division I athlete, you feel like you can't really breathe,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know, you can't articulate it. You just, like you said, you kind of pull back the curtain. You're like, wow, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't as exciting as what I thought it was. And when I went to St. Thomas, I felt like I could all of a sudden breathe. And I was just like, okay, I can start to kind of have the ability and the room to start exploring who I was when I take that jersey off, and like what
Mm-hmm.
really makes me tick without having the expectation of having to play that role of being an athlete 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. The expectation, the practices, and it's a lot. It could be a lot, and to your point, at times it can feel like you just don't have time for anything else. Like I know for myself, I never worked. I never had a job. My parents did a
Yeah.
great job of providing for me in a way where I said I wanted to play basketball, so they made sure I was occupied playing basketball.
Yeah.
So, I never really had to work a job. So, but once you get older and graduate, it kind of does you a disservice to not have been exposed to that, those type of things. So, no, I appreciate you sharing that. Now, I looked on your LinkedIn and I saw a wide range of experience, everything from media sales, technology sales. You were a writer and published a magazine. Like, kind of walk me through and tell me a little bit about like what were the steps you took in order to get some of those roles, and kind of like what was the thought process behind having such or trying so many things, and do you feel like it prepared you for, I know I'm asking a bunch of questions in one,
No,
but
I got you. I got you. I'm
but
tracking.
yeah, how did it prepare you for kind of what you're doing now?
Yeah, that's why I started out and was like, it's been wild
Yeah.
because again, as I've gotten older and the puzzle pieces now fit together very clearly. But at the time, I had absolutely no idea
Yeah.
really why I was getting some of the opportunities that I was getting and why I was going in all these different directions. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was at St. Thomas, I had an idea to start a online magazine that
Okay.
coached and mentored the young professionals transitioning from college to the working world, because
Okay.
I realized that yes, college makes you really book smart. We can
Mhm.
all read a chapter, we can take a test, but some of the gaps that I was seeing was just we don't have the business acumen. We don't know how to negotiate. We don't really know how to play the corporate game. We don't know how to climb the corporate ladder. And like all of these things that we're all of a sudden supposed to be exposed to, that we're just supposed to seamlessly go into our first job and excel. And
Yeah.
so I saw this massive gap. So I spent my junior and senior year really setting myself up to be, I guess, quote unquote, an entrepreneur. And when I
Yeah.
was in school, being an entrepreneur actually meant the kids that had no direction and they had no idea what they wanted to be. So they're going to
Yeah.
label themselves as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Here now, you can take classes, which is so awesome. But
Yeah.
when I was in college, that was definitely not a thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to learn how to do all of these things because no one's teaching me any of it. So that athlete instinct kicks in, right? Like, I want to be good at this. This
Yeah.
is something that I want. And I have continuously worked hard my entire life. So I know I can figure this out, but it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of work, but I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah.
And so I started putting the wheels in motion. I ended up getting an internship with a magazine up in Minneapolis, and they were launching another publication. So I got to see from the ground up how to actually build a magazine, how
Oh,
it makes
wow.
money, how to sell it. I was
Yeah.
actually selling advertising for the magazine at the time.
Wow.
And so I graduated from college. And then, like most kids, you were like, I want to move to a really big city. So I wanted to move down to Chicago, and I researched every single major publication had an office in the Midwest down in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I would pick up the phone and introduce myself to whoever answered the phone and said, I'd really love to connect. Would there be anyone within the office that I could go and grab coffee with? And it sounds old school and it sounds terrifying, but truthfully, I have never gotten a job through sending my resume online. Every single
Really?
opportunity I have ever gotten has been through someone. And I have had some
Wow.
serious, awesome opportunities. So, for the sake of making my background super long, I'll speed it up.
No, no, no. I'm having a blast right now, and I think that's a really good nugget, and speaks to the importance of relationship building and networking. So no,
Yes.
don't feel the need to speed it up. Take as much time as you like.
So yes, like I am such a fan of networking. And if anyone ever sees me deliver a keynote or has had the chance to see me speak already, like that is one of the things I cannot stress enough is putting yourself out there and being an advocate for you, for
Mhm.
yourself, because nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to do it for you. And
Right.
so I started networking like crazy down in Chicago. Didn't land a position with a magazine, but I landed a position with the Chicago Tribune. But I took advantage of the fact that I was in Chicago and kept networking. And what happens is you meet one person, they introduce you to another person, they introduce you to another person. And then all of a sudden, your network started out at one person. And now
Mhm.
you've gotten to meet 5 people from
Yeah.
them. And as you continue to nurture those relationships, they start to become your friends and you start to become more transparent about what you really want to do. And I started talking about this online magazine that I wanted to start. And they were like, Amanda, you should just go start it. You're like 26 years old. If it doesn't work, like you can always go back into corporate. And I was like, you're
Yeah.
right. So I moved back home and I launched, which was BizMe, which was an online magazine that coached and mentored young professionals transitioning from college to the working world.
Mhm.
And I built it. And then I was like, okay, this is not Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come because they were not coming. So
Yeah.
what I had to do is grassroots. And again, this was before social media. This was
Mhm.
before being an influencer. So I had to really go out and pound the pavement. And how
Mhm.
I did that was networking, going to different professional organizations and introducing myself to the people that ran the organizations. And one of the things, because my demographic was college students, was going and talking to colleges and universities. And I got my very first speaking engagement at an all girls college. And I remember that day like it was yesterday because
Yeah.
it was awful. It was
Oh.
terrifying. It was awful. I swore I would never do it again. Like the class size was so small, but everybody
Yeah.
was public speaking. And
Uh-huh.
I remember standing up in front of this classroom of 8 students, and the
Mhm.
clock happened to be right in front of me. So the time was like, shh, shh, shh. And I'm telling my story much like I'm sharing right now, and I'm shaking like a leaf. I feel like I'm a hot mess. I'm sweating. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Finally, the torture was over,
Yeah.
and the students started asking me like really engaging questions.
Mhm.
And afterwards, I started receiving some emails from some of the students, just
Mhm.
about I really made it seem like if I can do it, they can do it. And for me, I found so much value in that. And I challenged myself because, like, I was like, Amanda, at some point, everything was uncomfortable. You being a volleyball athlete was uncomfortable. You weren't good at it, but you saw value in it. And it's something that you loved. And what did you do? You worked at it,
Mhm.
you nurtured it, you practiced it over and over again.
Mhm.
And public speaking became something that I absolutely love, if you cannot tell.
Mhm.
And I did that because I knew I could add value. And
Mhm.
it was something that even though I was terrified and I vowed I would never do it again, if I was being honest with myself, I was thriving in that moment. And I practiced it. I started talking to everyone. I would see someone sitting by themselves at lunch and I would go and ask if I could join them, right? That is scarier than standing up in front of a room of 300 people. And that classroom of 8 all of a sudden turned into 300 people, which turned into 500 people. And I was like, I love this and I want to be good at this.
Yeah.
So, what do? We study people that are in the space that we want to be in. And I was like, I'm going to be the female version of Tony Robbins. And so I started looking at the tools that Tony Robbins had, and he published a book and he had a consulting business. And I was like, I can do that. So I self-published a book. I started a consulting business. And while I was building all of that, I got an opportunity to go on a morning show as a guest and promoting myself as a career coach branding expert.
Oh, wow.
And I was plugging my books. I have had no broadcast background. I've never been on TV before, but I took advantage of the fact that I got these opportunities. And like everything else, you work at it, you become really good. You show up as someone that is reliable, that has good content, that can speak well, and you get invited back. And one TV appearance turned into multiple appearances. And one thing led to another. I started moving from being a guest on the TV shows to actually being a host.
Oh, wow.
When hosts would go on vacation, they would ask me to fill in.
Yeah.
And again, awesome. I clearly had many loves in my life because I was like, this is amazing. This is keynoting.
Yeah.
But totally at a different level.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing. And while I was building BizMe and doing all of this, I was actually working full time.
Really?
So I was working full time, and this was really a lifestyle hobby for me, what I was doing on the side. But it was growing. It was definitely growing. But where I was working was for a media company that had broadcasting stations, that had different newspapers and radio stations. And as I've mentioned before, I'm a connector. I love networking. I love meeting people. So I took advantage that I had all of these different people in one building. And I networked with the directors and VPs of broadcasting. So when I was going on all these different TV shows, I was talking to them about how do I do more of this? And what are some skills that I really could practice that would make me more marketable? And because of that, I developed a relationship, a professional relationship, I should say, with one of the VPs of broadcast. And when I was going on the morning shows as a host, one of the hosts went out on maternity leave. Okay. And I saw that as an opportunity. And I said, would you allow me to do it if I did it for free? And I mean, who's going to turn down the ability to have someone come on every day for an hour for free?
Yep.
And they were like, absolutely. So for 3 months, I did a TV show for free. And I know that sounds crazy, but I looked at the opportunity and I asked myself, is the money better or is the opportunity better? And the opportunity outweighed any money that I was going to make as a fill-in. And it was something that I wanted so badly that I was willing to do it for free. And what happened because I did that? I ended up getting my own TV show for 2 years.
Really?
Which I paid. Yes.
Wow. Wait, is that on your LinkedIn? I don't.
Yeah, it is.
What was the show called and what was it about?
It's called The Morning Blend, and it was out in Tucson, Arizona, and it's an entertainment lifestyle show. So it's about the community of Tucson. So when celebrities would come in, or restaurant openings, or nonprofits, events, authors, anything, I was the host of that for 2 years.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's like We're definitely gonna have to have you come back on because this is crazy. Like I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, again, I have never had any broadcast experience. And I got the job and I went out early because I had to practice how to read from a teleprompter because I had never done that before.
Yeah, yeah, that's hilarious. But I think that that's a testament to you, your determination, having a vision and a plan, and just executing. And then also, providing a service for free. Like you said, a lot of people would
Yep,
scoff at the idea of that just because everybody's so money hungry these days. But
exactly.
I think that was extremely valuable for your situation because, like you said, it turned into to so much more. So kudos to you, and that's amazing. Like your story is crazy. I can listen to you tell this all day.
I'm not even done.
I know, I know. We're just getting started. We're just getting started.
That's the crazy thing is I'm not even done.
Yeah.
Now, I'll speed it up so we can get to like the
No,
good
you're
stuff.
good. You're
Like
good.
why we're actually like what we really want to talk about is my current company. But so I ended up hosting my TV show for 2 years,
Uh-huh.
and in TV you sign contracts. So I signed a 2-year contract, and then from there I wanted to move back home a little bit closer to my family because that is my foundation, and I'm very close to my family, and so.
Mhm.
I thought with my 2 years of experience that I'd be able to come back home and get myself back on TV. Well,
Yeah.
that did not work at all.
Yeah.
So I was actually unemployed for 8 months.
Hmm.
And so it's like you're riding really high,
Hmm.
right? And you all of a sudden realize you have to take this massive step backwards.
Hmm.
And that's just what life is. It's the same thing in
Yeah.
sports. You know, you're a starter, and then maybe the next year you're not a starter. And it's like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And so that it happens in your career, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. But it's like, I was like, Amanda, how do you go from hosting your own TV show to now nothing?
Yeah.
And I was lost. I was lost because I thought I was moving in a direction and I could not get a job. And
Hmm.
so I had met a dear friend while I was out in Tucson, and she was in pharmaceutical sales. And
Okay.
she happened to move back to Chicago. And then she knew I was moving back home to Milwaukee. And after 8 months, she was like, Amanda, you just need a job. And I was like, yeah, at this point, I really do. You're right. I
Yeah.
really do. And so she was like, in in the company that I work for, we're hiring in this territory that I think you would be great for. And so
Mhm.
she's like, would you be open to pharmaceutical sales? And, you know, we all have heard pharmaceutical, medical sales, you can make a ton of money, right? You
Mhm.
dangle a carrot in front of our face, and we're like, hey, I can go after it.
Yeah.
So she had put me up for the job. I still had to interview, and
Mhm.
obviously it
Sure.
wasn't just handed to me, but having someone open the door for you is it makes such a big difference.
Mhm.
And so I ended up getting the job. So I moved into pharmaceutical sales. And I did that for about a year and a half. And then the media company that I worked for got a new CEO, and he was trolling on LinkedIn at everyone that had worked there before. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, would you want to come back? I've got some management positions open.
Oh,
And
wow.
oh, I've always wanted to manage people. I would love
Mhm.
that opportunity. So I ended up going back to the media company for, again, probably about a year and a half.
Mhm.
And then a college friend of mine reached out to me, and he had worked for Salesforce, which is a huge technology company.
Yeah.
And he said, Amanda, we're really looking for people with your background to work for Marketing Club Cloud, which was their marketing advertising platform.
Mhm.
And he was like, I think you'd be really great at it. It's an enterprise sales role. And he was like, I'd love to put you up for it if you'd be interested. And so, again, he opened the door for me. I still
Mhm.
had to walk through it. And
Sure.
that was definitely a challenging process because
Mhm.
my final interview, I had to actually sell Marketing Cloud to a panel of people.
Oh
And I mean, I
wow.
didn't know how to sell technology, but
Yeah.
man, I researched and I figured it out.
Yep. Made it work.
Yes. And then from there, I left Salesforce then after a year and a half because
The magic. That's the magic number.
I mean, in sales it really is
Yeah.
because you get your experience and then other opportunities come.
Hmm.
And well, I'll get to in a second. So I ended up changing positions and I did really like technology, but truthfully, I did not like it as much as I liked medical sales.
Really?
Hmm. Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind that?
So you know, technology sales is a long sales cycle.
Yep.
So I was on the enterprise team and I was in financial services. So I had huge banks as my client.
Okay.
And I had 3 clients and I would work on deals for an entire year for it to get about an inch away from the finish line. And December 31st was the cutoff,
Yeah.
the deadline. And
Yeah.
they'd be like, sorry, we're not moving forward. And I'm like,
Yeah. Oh my
I just
gosh.
spent a year on this deal trying
Yeah.
to close it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me on December 31st at 11:59
Oh my gosh.
and 59 seconds, that is not happening.
Down to the wire. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And so it was just like those really long sales cycle. I liked
Yeah.
how complex these sales was
Hmm.
because in technology sales, you truly are the quarterback of an entire internal team because you have to bring in your
Okay.
solution experts and your architects and all these people and make sure everybody's on the same page. I liked that aspect of it, but it was just the deals. I'm just I guess more of like a transactional seller, even though medical isn't really transactional, but you can tell like,
Hmm.
hey, my efforts are working
Hmm.
because I'm selling and they're using it
Yeah.
every single day. So it's like I could see what I was doing versus technology. It's like I can't see it.
Yeah. And
It's,
do you feel like with medical sales, the fact that it's outside sales as opposed to inside sales, do you think that plays a factor, or is that better serving for athletes, and just for that simple fact that you're not sitting at a desk as opposed to being in the
well,
field?
all of the sales roles that I've been have always been outside sales.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've never done inside sales. So that
Oh,
enterprise team that I was a part of, I was actually on a plane every single week. So my
oh,
clients
okay.
were in Minnesota, they were in LA, and they were in Atlanta. And truthfully, the expectation was that I was meeting with every single one of these clients weekly, if not monthly. And that was another thing is like the traveling sounds really glamorous.
Yeah,
And for a hot second, it is. But
yeah,
when you're leaving Sunday night or early Monday morning, and
yeah,
you've been to Minnesota, Atlanta, and LA in the same week, and you get
yeah,
back on Fridays, it's
yeah,
it's just one of those things where you're like, I this is not sustainable.
yeah, yeah. I would imagine. I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
Um, And I wanted to ask you a question in regards to a lot of the different pivots you made.
Mhm.
How what was the thought process behind making those pivots? Because I feel like a lot of times, especially when you find something that you're good at, you're enjoying at the time, you can kind of get comfortable and just say,
Yeah.
"This is it. This is what I'm doing." But it sounds like you were constantly seeking uncomfortability. That's the first word that comes to my mind, and just like kind of getting out of your comfort zone. Is that accurate?
Yes. So I love to challenge myself, but
Mhm.
most importantly, I was chasing money.
Okay.
I'm in sales,
Yeah.
right? If anyone tells you that they go into sales and they're not money driven, they're lying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I had given myself at each one of those jumps a substantial raise, which is
Okay.
why truthfully I left. But to what you were saying, the carrot was dangled in front of my face, and I went after it and I got it, but I was seeking something,
Mm-hmm.
right? I now looking back that I've made such a pivot.
Mm-hmm.
I've realized for my sales journey served me really well. It really did, but it was not purpose driven or passionate for me. It was purely money.
Yeah.
And that has a shelf life
Mm-hmm.
because all of a sudden you get to a point when you're challenged, like, how do I want to spend the next 20 years of my professional career?
Yeah.
And inherently, who I am is I am a connector, I'm a mentor. Like, I want to help people. I want my legacy to be something more than just I made a lot of money in my
Mm-hmm.
career. And that's how I felt. It was kind of every time I hit a goal, every time I hit that bonus, it felt the same way that when I got to Villanova, that
Mm.
I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
Why am I not feeling this euphoric happiness that I've made this goal? It was just kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, what's next?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that that's a probably a pretty scary place to be, just because you're putting this goal on a pedestal, and then, like you said, you get there and it doesn't fulfill you. So it's like, if this isn't fulfilling me, what's going to fulfill me? So I'm sure that that could be an uncomfortable position to be in. Now, how did you compartmentalize? This is like, I guess I'm asking this selfishly, because this is kind of like where I'm at a lot of times. But how do you compartmentalize, or how did you compartmentalize doing the sales when you were doing the sales thing? But I'm sure you still had this passion for
Mhm.
media and communicating and connecting and doing all these things. But your focus is kind of here. How did you kind of compartmentalize those two things?
I have always been an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
but I also know you have to make money.
Yeah.
So, that's a
I feel
conflict.
that. I'm the same
It's
way.
a conflict of interest for
Yeah, it
sure.
is. It is.
And I had tried many different businesses,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew the way that I felt about my business right out of college, BizMe, was a feeling I was chasing without knowing I was chasing it, right?
Right.
And you said it yourself, right? You get very complacent in life.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just kind of like, well, I'm used to this.
Yeah.
And I know what my day is. And I know what the expectations are. And I'm good enough at it
Yeah.
that I'm making really great money. But I feel empty. But that's okay because it's work. That's what we should feel.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And I am here to tell you that is not what you should feel.
Yeah.
And you should put as much time, energy, dedication, what you did in your sport to figure out how do you get that same feeling and that same passion for the
Mm-hmm.
next beautiful chapter of
Mm-hmm.
your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it shouldn't feel empty. You shouldn't have to go through your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, just going through the motions. Like, we get one kick at the can of our lives, and that's it.
Yeah.
And go after it. Like,
Yeah.
go after all of the crazy ideas that you have, because one of the analogies that I love, well, two of them are history rewards the bold, right? The history rewards the bold. And when you look at a heart monitor, the heartbeat goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, which means you're thriving, you're
Mm-hmm.
living, you're breathing. When
Love
that
that.
heart monitor goes straight,
Love that.
what are you? You're not breathing.
Out of there.
You don't, you're right.
Yeah.
It Life is not meant to be a straight line.
Yeah. I
And
love that.
I am a true testament to that. Like, I have pivoted many times in my career. I have taken steps back because I am seeking, as you said, I am seeking who I'm meant to be. I am seeking my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a minute to find it. And that's okay. Don't put pressure on yourself to figure it out immediately. You can go through all of these different chapters because every single chapter that I've gone through has led me to exactly where I am. And it's kind of like all of these pieces came magically together
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, it's my time. It's all aligning and it's
Yep.
happening, which gives you those green lights of I am exactly where I am meant to be. And I had to walk through all of that to get right here, right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that, and that's kind of where I am. And sometimes I do get discouraged. I find myself getting discouraged just because I feel like I'm on a roller coaster at times, and it's going up and down and side to side. And it's like, man, I just wish I would. I wish I just knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I knew exactly what my day would look like, and I could just start trying to plan. But as I get older, I've learned that there's beauty in the journey and just kind of the bumps and the bruises and all of it. So I've learned to kind of enjoy the whole process. So,
The
that's.
thing is, though, is like it's not magically going to come to you.
Hmm.
If you're interested in real estate,
Hmm.
there are so many people that will talk to you.
Hmm.
LinkedIn is such a great resource.
Yeah.
Reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking at a career pivot. I'm interested in real estate. I'd really love a few minutes of your time. Would you be open to chatting?
Yeah.
Because the only way you're going to figure it out is by asking questions and
Hmm.
asking good questions, not just basic questions, but like what keeps you up at night? What
Hmm.
is your lifestyle truly like? What is the startup phase
Hmm.
when you get into real estate? Is it eat what you kill? Like, how
Hmm.
long did it take you before you sold your first house? Like those are the things that you want to walk in eyes wide open to say, yes, all of that hearing that doesn't scare me, it energizes me.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good. And I'm definitely going to take that advice. I do a pretty good job of reaching out to people on LinkedIn, but I need to be better at that. I've kind of slacked off a little bit, so I appreciate that reminder.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can listen to my playbooks.
Yeah, and that's definitely going to happen. That's definitely going to happen. So now I don't want to jump too far ahead, but as far as your career path, was there something else after the where were we at? Were we at the
Yeah.
last
So I
US?
then I went into medical sales again. And I have most recently been there for the past 5 years.
Okay.
And it served me well, but again, you start to ask yourself, this cannot be it for me.
Hmm.
This cannot just be what I'm going to be doing for the next 20 years.
So you were
And
constantly asking yourself that question every kind of like every step along the way. It was always, is there
yes,
more? Okay.
yes, I was, because I wanted more.
Yeah.
I would look back at my past journey and I'm like, you just don't get your own TV show for that not to matter.
Yeah.
It's like you
Oh,
start to,
yeah.
you don't know why those opportunities happen to you in the moment,
Hmm.
right? But they did. And then you start looking back and you're like, that can't just be a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
I can't ever not use those skills. I cannot imagine never going on TV again or never speaking again. Like that felt so natural to me that
Hmm.
that just cannot be something that is like, oh, Amanda, close it, lock it up. You'll never look at it again. You're going to be in medical sales where you're just going to be sitting in front of physicians
Yeah.
every night telling them to use your product. Right? Like, I was like, that just cannot be. You don't get
Yeah.
opportunities like that not to leverage them moving forward. And so the turning point for me was a friend of mine asked me a question, and I'd ask myself that, but maybe I just, in that moment, it just hit me differently. Where she said, how do you want to spend the next 20 years of your professional career? You are in your prime right now. You have decades worth of sales and all this experience. Like, how do you want to spend your day? And it, it truly hit me so hard.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I forgot to mention is that back when I had Bisme, my online magazine, one of the things that I was really passionate about, and I was making a little roadway into it was to start a career coaching firm for athletes, because I was an athlete and I went through that. But shockingly, it didn't work, because a 20-year-old trying to tell professional athletes what to
Yeah.
do with their lives. Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
it was something I was very passionate about. And when she said that to me, I immediately went back to that idea. And I've never not thought about it. It had always just been cloudy. And maybe it was because the timing just wasn't right.
Yeah.
But it was cloudy because I was like, I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to have to post every single thing that I'm eating. I don't want
Yeah.
people DMing me and being like, oh my gosh, I love your fashion. I mean, I hope they love my fashion
Yeah.
anyway, but like, I don't want to be posting links of where you can go and buy my belt.
Yeah.
So it was cloudy for me. And like, what does this actually look like? And how can I be authentically myself without losing myself?
Mm-hmm.
And after she said that, I just started really thinking about it, and the fog started to lift. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this, because
Mm-hmm.
if I don't do it now, when am I going to
Yeah.
do it? I have enough real world experience, and I have gone down the path of most athletes. I've done tech sales, I've done medical sales. I've done all of the things that most of us go into.
Yeah.
And it's because those industries reward the identities that we're used to winning at.
Yeah.
And so game plan strategies 2.0 is like my second iteration of the company that I had dreams about in my 20s, kind of started it, but didn't
Yeah.
really go anywhere. I don't believe in failures. I believe in pivots,
Yeah.
because nothing is truly a failure, because you can always learn something in that. It is just a pivot.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I launched Game Plan Strategies, which is a career architecture firm for athletes, elite athletes, so college athletes, professional athletes. And first and foremost, it shows athletes the different mindsets that are already inherently who they are. So I've talked about being a connector and a visionary and a strategist and a mentor and a competitor, because there are definitely some of us that are over 50% competitors, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I am not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely are.
Yeah.
But it's helping athletes not have to hit that identity gap as hard as what I had to, and helping them see that they are more than just athletes, but also teaching them how to use that. If you are a connector, a relationship builder on the team, and you get injured, right? You can lean into that archetype of
Yeah.
being a connector when you're injured, versus only seeing yourself as a competitor and a performer. And then you're injured, you can't use either one of those.
Yeah.
So what happens? You get
Yeah.
really depressed. You feel like you're not contributing to the team, because you don't know who you are outside of those identities that everyone has rewarded you for.
Mm-hmm.
But you can step into the other ones. And then when the athletes see their different archetypes, then I show them career paths that specifically align with those different archetypes, because I want to find the best fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want athletes just going after a carrot dangling in front of their face like I did. I want them to feel like they are truly where they belong, and they are using their greatest assets, because you've got more than just being a competitor. I can promise you that. So that's the company, but it's really beautiful because I've gotten myself back on TV. I'm a career strategist. So I do
Yeah.
lots of different TV segments now on different career tips. I wrote my first article that just got published in the Sports Business Journal. And quite honestly,
Congratulations.
thank you. It has incredibly blown up. And that's really exciting. So now I'm able to take all of these really great skills and combine it into a company that I absolutely love. And I work longer and harder than I ever have in my life,
Yeah.
but I love every single second of it. I will sacrifice anything to continue to work on my company.
No, that's beautiful. And Oh man, I've had so much fun on this episode just because you've really inspired me to really go after the things that I want to go after. Uh, like I said earlier, I think at times I can get discouraged with not knowing exactly where it is I want to be and the things I want to do. It's funny because I asked myself this question today: like, if I weren't scared, what would I do? And that's kind of what you've been saying this whole time. It's just like go after it. Who
Yeah.
cares? Like, um, so I really appreciate you sharing your story and all that. We're gonna have to get you back on at another time to share the growth of the business and what you're all doing. I'm sure you're gonna have a big TV show at that point and all that. So um,
That would be wild, but I embrace it. I embrace everything. And Thomas, I will tell you,
mhm,
right? Like you're already expecting the worst.
mhm,
I mean, you're already expecting the worst, which is why you're not moving.
mhm.
So so if it happens, right?
Yeah,
You're expecting it.
yeah,
But I can promise you it's not going to happen.
yeah,
What you have in your head is far worse than what's ever going to happen. And if you're not going to be your own advocate for what you want in your own life, who is?
yeah,
So I encourage everyone to go after it. Put yourself out there.
yeah,
You are going to see such beautiful things.
yeah. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So where can people find you at?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is great. I check that all the time.
Mhm,
So I don't have TikTok, but I've got Instagram, I've got Facebook, I've got LinkedIn,
mhm.
and then obviously game plan strategies. They can connect with me on there. But yeah, I'm always happy to meet with people, talk with people. I would not be where I am if no one ever picked up the phone when I called. So
Yeah,
I am happy to have a conversation with anyone.
yeah. Appreciate it. One more question.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody who would be a who you think would be a good guest on here? And if so, you have to help us get them on.
Oh, easy for sure.
You have a couple people in mind?
I do. I
Okay.
do. Yes,
Perfect. Perfect.
absolutely.
Perfect. Well, Amanda, I appreciate your time. I don't wanna take up too much more of your time, but I really appreciate it. Like I said, we're definitely gonna have to get you back on at some point just to share the growth of the business and kind of update us on all the cool things that you're
Well,
doing
thank
now.
you so much for having me. This was
Yeah.
a ton of fun. I mean, I got to talk about myself.
Yeah. No, but your
What's
story,
not to love about that?
yeah, your story is super interesting. So no, I had a blast. I appreciate you.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much. And you have a good night as well.
You too. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye.